Hello and welcome to Fibertown. I'm Emily. Welcome to my kitchen. This is episode 230 and it is the 12th of April, I believe, 2019. It has been a good long while since I've had the chance to sit down, and as a consequence, I have mountains of things as usual to share with you. So today I have, yes, I have one work in progress, several whips, lots of talk about sewing and some spinning. I'll keep the sewing towards the end in case you're just here for knitting and spinning. And there are a few acquisitions which will also be probably peppered in. Some might come at the end. So, oh my goodness, it's going to be a rambly one. Very exciting times around here. So, yes, let's talk about wrapping up Handspun Winter first, however. That was a wonderful time to just celebrate making handspun wool yarn and using it in crafting. So we had an Instagram hashtag, which is very inspirational, as well as the Ravelry group. And this time I drew the final prize from the Ravelry group, and the winner was she is I didn't write down her Ravelry name, but her name is Megan, and she is an American expat living in Ireland. And I will tell you right now. Let's see. Fian was post 112. So Megan, well, I'm looking up your real Ravelry name. Oh, Fian Crafts. I may be saying that incorrectly. Yes, so she is an American expat living in Ireland, and so Megan, get in touch with me on Ravelry and we'll see what you would like. I do have some handspun for you to choose from, but I am going to a fiber festival soon, so maybe you'd like me to pick you up something. I'm open to all things. I imagine it's hard as an expat. Seeing Rhinebeck and Maryland sheep and wool, especially as a spinner, Maryland sheep and wool is amazing. So you may be interested in maybe getting some hobbledehoy. It's going to be one of hobbledehoy's last vending events. So as she's going out of business soon, sometime later in the year. So anyway, that's just a thought. So get in touch with me and we'll figure something out, something good. All right, so that wraps up Handspun Winter. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll probably do it again someday. Fingers crossed. So right into my first FO. These are the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Cake Pop socks. Yes, they were the Cake Pop colorway. I feel like they are maybe a cashmere base. I don't have the tag, but aren't they fun? Speckles, like Cake Pop sprinkles, and they've got the chocolatey of the cake for one stripe. I think I knit these too big for me. They were going to be for my husband. In fact, my husband knit half of the first sock. I think they're going to a very knit-worthy friend across the country who I don't think watches very often. So there they are. They're very nice. Cake Pop by Fiber Nymph. And sticking with the Fiber Nymph trend. Oh no. I'm going to have to move the computer. Hang on, sorry. There we go. One of my botanically dyed bags. I have another Fiber Nymph sock on the needles. And this is out of a completely different base. And I actually had her dye this colorway for me on this base a couple years ago. And it's been in my stash. And I decided after knitting the Cake Pop socks, I was going to get some more Fiber Nymph on the needles. So this is the Swoosh base. It is a 75 Corriedale, 25% nylon. This feels, it's the kind of fabric, it makes the kind of fabric where when you push it, it pushes back. It pushes back at you. It's interactive. Yeah, love it. Love it. It's very sturdy feeling. I'm excited. These will be for me. I want to see how they wear. I don't know if Fiber Nymph has this base anymore. I'm not really current on her shop right now, but she's got great bases in general, I think, and the dye job is impeccable. And this is the colorway Minnesota Nice. I think she may have done this for a retreat in Minnesota. And I just really love the colors together. So the green is more vibrant in real life, for sure. So yeah, those are my April socks. And the March socks I finished right under the gun. That was for starting the month of March with half a sock already knit. But I was very busy with something else, so I'll show you that in a minute. But first, oh my gosh, I'm gonna grab stuff off a chair and mountains of things are gonna fall. It's like playing Jenga over here. My Fiber Trek bag, my Wool Scouts bag. I have a Hufflepuff mitten, complete except for the thumb. I don't know, did I have this complete last time? I hope I'm not. I probably did. Anyway, it's no further on, although I did get another ball of this from the Woolly Thistle. So I should be good to go with Jameson and Smith and Tuku wool for my Hufflepuff mitt. There's the badger, honey badger, whatever kind of badger. They're all pretty fierce. So back in here, that I'm actually doing for the Woolly Thistle mitten cowl. What does she call it? Mid-along? And man, I finished that first mitten and I needed to be done for a while. Which is probably a terrible idea because I'll come back to it. My gauge will be different. Oh well. So the other item I worked on and I haven't touched in weeks, but I think there's progress since you all have seen it last, is my Wolf River. I have the front. No, is this the front? This might be the back. I think this is the back. So yeah, Wolf River out of Tunis Handspun, which was another bit of my handspun winter. It was a fleece that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool, processed, spun, dyed with madder. This madder I went on a trip to Colorado at Fancy Tiger Crafts, but you can get madder online and so forth. And actually, it's springtime here in DC, and my madder root is coming up. So I might be able to harvest that this year. We'll see. Some of it, anyway. And I'll be getting more dye plants at Maryland Sheep and Wool. Oh, my Ella campaign is also coming up. That's a perennial. That's a dye plant, another root-based dye plant that's supposed to give a purpley blue. I need to research how and when to harvest that and how to process it. But the madder, I think, is fairly straightforward. I think you just kind of wash off the dirt from the roots, maybe dry it and then chop it up, I'm guessing. I would feel like if you chopped it, maybe you have to chop it fresh. It might be too tricky to chop dry. I don't know. But I feel like fresh madder root would just bleed red everywhere. Maybe dried wood as well. So yeah, my Wolf River, I have the front cast on and maybe one lace repeat done. I'm just not feeling like working on that at the moment. I've got a ton more of this yarn. It's a chunky, it's an Aran/chunky, how many plies? 3 ply? That's a 3 ply, yes. It's my own handspun. You'd think I would know, but I don't. So that is another work in progress. And my final work in progress is the thing that has been stealing my attention. That is my Samphrey by Marie Wallin. And I've left the book with a pattern in it in the other room. So I'm going to have to talk you through this. Here's what I have so far. I know. This represents me rewatching Game of Thrones. I've cast on the large size because I want to make sure I have plenty of ease. And you'll see that if you know the Samphrey, it starts with a pretty wide band of ribbing, maybe 4 to 6 inches of striped ribbing. It takes all of the colors, and I think there are about 14 colors in this pattern. It takes all of the colors and it stripes them in a 2x2 ribbing. And I just felt, actually, you know what? I can show you because I have a swatch that I did. I don't know. I just felt this was like too athletic jersey looking and I didn't like it. But it's a sweater that kind of grows on you as you work with it, and you kind of understand why Marie Wallin might have chosen to do that. It kind of works. It's kind of crazy, but it kind of works. So what I might do is, so I've provisionally cast on down here so that I can think about what I want to do and then unpick the provisional cast on and go forth. I think I used a dark yarn for the provisional cast on. That was not smart. That was just not smart. So yeah, I'll have to do it in full daylight when I unpick that. So yeah, so for the ribbing, what I think I'm going to do is just I'm going to take out the boldest yellow and the purples and maybe some of the greens. So I want the ribbing to be more neutral, like browns and grays and blues and some greens. So yeah, the more neutral colors I'm going to use in the ribbing and take out the crazier ones. So there's where I am here. I don't know why I sounded like a hillbilly there, but felt appropriate. I do have hillbilly roots. So yeah. Now, Marie Wallin knits this in the flat. No, I'm not doing that. So I've started steeks for the sleeves. And now I'm going to have to figure out how to do steeks for the neck and how to, there are some short rows on the shoulders. So I'm going to have to figure that out too. But I know Fruity Knitting did a bit of she did that and she knitted in the round. And I think she has a tutorial on how she dealt with it. So I will be figuring that out as I go along. So really I have to knit, here I am. So there's the band with this is like called paprika, I think. So I have to knit up to about here. So maybe 4 more inches on this before I can deal with the neck hole. Yeah, the neck hole. And the short rows of the shoulders. And then there are sleeves. There's probably a lot more to say about this, but I'm just kind of astounds me. It's pretty garish. I see that. I see that it's crazy. But it was one of those, you know how people climb mountains because they're there? The mountains exist. It's kind of how I feel about this sweater. It's a process knit. So I do find that I have to be very mindful of how I'm sitting when I knit on this because the chart is probably too far away and I'm hunched over and I'm getting some neck and shoulder pain. So it's made me more mindful of my posture and so forth. The charts are not visually simple. How could they be with so many symbols, right? But if you can, so what is helpful is that in one repeat, the long stretches of color are typically the same number. Like there'll be a 13, it'll be either 11, 13, or 15 of like one color. So if you know that the long stretches are all the same, that makes it a little easier to stop and not do so much counting. So what I should really do is put like in the long stretches is write a little like 11 or a little 13 so that I don't have to continually check. The yarn I'm using here, and I'm knitting this on US 4 needles, I think that's is that a 3.5 or is that a 3? Anyway, it's a pretty tight gauge, and you might notice that my gauge down here was tighter than it is here. And you can also see that I steamed it at one point down here. So it's less crinkly than it is up here where I haven't done anything to the fabric. It's an amazing fabric. And the yarn is Virtual Yarns from Alice Starmore. And I got it at an estate sale last summer. Except for this color, which is a Jamieson and Smith, and this color, which is an Isle yarn. And I got both of those from the Woolly Thistle, which is my favorite yarn store. I did buy yarn from another store that wasn't the Woolly Thistle. I'm going to show you later. Because once in a while, I like to support my brick and mortar LYS. So, yeah, shocking. Wow, so that's my Samphrey. And let's talk about spinning. Actually, let me show you my acquisition that I just mentioned, because after spinning, it's going to all be sewing. And that way, if you're not interested, I'll see you next time. So I had some points accrued at my LYS Looped Yarn Works in DuPont Circle in Washington. And so I had a coupon. I had a discount. I bought some Let Lopey, enough to make a colorwork yoke, either the Riddery or a Jennifer Steingass yoke. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. But here we go. It's this amazing color combination that I've seen in a couple places. I think the Camaborns of the Camabornia podcast, they have this color combo of Let Lopey. So the rust is the main color, and of course I have more of that, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited to knit this up at some point. But I will say, with the Marie Wallen sweater, Sarah Pomegranate, excuse me, and I, and possibly some other friends, are gearing up for a Wallen along. I don't know how formal this will be yet, but we're all going to be knitting Marie Wallen sweaters. And I think the Yell has been mentioned as a possibility, and that's one I definitely want to make in the future. And, you know, I've got plenty of work to do on the Samphrey still. So if that's something you'd like to do and you'd like to Wallen along with us, I'll let you know if I have more details later, or you could just do it informally. So, on to spinning. Let me show you what's been going well, and then I'll show you what hasn't been going well. This may not be news, but this is what I have so far for my Shifty spin. This is all Cormo that I dyed myself into S fiber. So this is what I have. I have this is the main color. I have one bobbin of singles of a second skein of this. And then I have a blue that I need to spin up as well. And then one more whole skein of this main color. So how many is that? I have 2.5 skeins to spin still. And that's all right. What has been the fleece I've been working on, I should say, is a Jacob from last year's Maryland Sheep and Wool. And this is the second lightest color. Oh, and it's so fluffy and lofty. It's a 2-ply. And this came out really nice. It's my typical type of spinning. Pretty woolen spun. It's carded and then I spin it long draw. Now you may remember that the white from that Jacob fleece, which was the color that's least prevalent, was least prevalent in that particular fleece. I had issues with it, and this is the latest iteration of it. So let me try and remember. It was strangely overspun, just kind of crinkly, and I didn't know what had gone wrong, and it's still a bit of a mystery to me. And I tried to kind of deconstruct that yarn. The first thing I tried was something a few people had mentioned on Ravelry, and that was that I should run it back through the opposite direction from the ply direction. So I did, and it was still really wacky. And then I thought, well, maybe I can unply it and check the twist on the singles. And did I spin them both Z and then ply S? Or did I spin one Z and the other S, and then I applied another direction, and that's why it was wonky? I think that may be what happened, but I don't know. I don't keep a spinning journal. I do things the same way all the time, so it should have been typical, right? Like this came out. Very rarely do I deviate from how I spin, but maybe something just happened and I did something backwards or different from how I usually do it. So I started trying to deconstruct the yarn because I do have a bobbin winder, I have a ball winder, I have a Swift. I could potentially take plies apart. It's incredibly labor intensive though, and this was a 400 yard skein, and after about 10 to 20 yards, it became apparent that that was bonkers. So by this point, I decided to run the yarn back through and try to unply it. So I would keep the singles together, but just sort of laying side by side. It's really hard to do that consistently though. So, but I did that and it looked okay in most parts. And then I said, okay, I looked at the twist, the singles twist I felt looked the same on both singles. Like they both looked Z twist, which is how I usually spin singles. And then I apply S. And I don't know. I mean, so then I replied them. And I have a skein that is more balanced, but it's been manipulated so much that it's quite, I don't know, it's very thin. It has no air. Spots are underplied. Yeah, it's weird. I think it's usable, but it's just not the same yarn as this. Look at the difference. Boo. This looks like a single, really, right? But it's a 2-ply. So I haven't washed it yet, though. So it could change a little bit. Washing could reactivate some weird part of this skeins twist history. And I was upset about it for a while in that it was just like part of a precious fleece and it was the only white part. Nothing special about that color. It's just that's all I had of that color. And I wanted it for contrast in a sweater. But then I gave it time, and I became okay with the mystery of what happened. I did not need to investigate further. Just said, okay, let's just try this and see what happens. So the next step is to wash it, and we'll see what happens. Cheers. I've been getting the itch to wash another fleece, and maybe now is a good time to bring this out. I have 2 as yet unwashed fleeces in my house. They're partially washed, but I will be buying another fleece at Maryland Sheep and Wool, May 4th and 5th. Sorry, I'm distracted because there's been a robin trying to get into the house for about a week, and he just flies into a sliding door gently. He's not hitting himself. It's just weird. Like, maybe it's mating season and he sees this gorgeous robin reflected in the glass and he wants to get to know her better. I don't know. Oh, so the featured breed of the festival this year is Lincoln. It's always so fun to go into the featured breed tent. And Lincoln is a really cool breed. It's a foundational breed of a lot of modern breeds, including Corriedale, I think. Polwarth for sure. Possibly Corriedale and Cormo. Because if it was in Corriedale, I don't want to say something that's not true. But Cormo comes from a Corriedale and Merino and anyway. Yeah, so I'm very excited. It's my favorite time of the year. I hope that the weather is gorgeous, not too hot, not rainy. Take anything else except rainy or too hot. I'll even take rainy. Hot is not fun. But a couple years, it's just been glorious, partly cloudy, 65 or 70 degrees. And yeah, the spring in the south is just so glorious. Right now, there are lawns carpeted in violets. My woods are carpeted in trout lilies and lesser celandine. I've been going into the woods with this a lot and just IDing some of the wildflowers. And that literally the stream beds are carpeted in yellow and pink, and it's beautiful. cherry blossoms are out. So I hope that if you're coming to Maryland, I'll get to say hi to you, and I may not record till after Maryland. So if you see me, come and chat. I'd love to say hi. Maryland sheep and wool. All right. Sorry, now the dog is distracting me. So that is all I have for spinning and knitting and yarny acquisitions. The rest is sewing. And I've been very into sewing. So if you're not staying around, see you later. Bye. I hadn't had much of a sewing mojo this winter from about the first of the year till about now. I think that's because I didn't need anything in my wardrobe. It's a really interesting variation from how I approach knitting. So I have made a ton of stuff. Oh, you know what? I didn't talk about mending. If you're already gone, oh well. I'll just, I guess, work that in as I go. Or maybe I'll do a little insert. So sewing and sewing acquisitions. Let me show you first some of the patterns I've picked up. I'm going to be making this for a friend's new baby. And it's the perfect use for this gorgeous Nanny Iro double gauze. I had 1 yard. Don't know why I bought 1 yard, but I did. And it's perfect for like a 6 to 12 month dress. The baby's going to be born in the spring, but you know, babies get big fast. So I'm hoping it can be something she can wear year round with like a long sleeve onesie underneath, that sort of thing. So yeah, made by Ray geranium dress. This is essentially the washi dress in wee sizes. The washi dress, I've made many of them. That was one of the first patterns I sewed up successfully, so I have a soft spot for that. Oh, hi, friend. Do you want to come say hi? I got this at Stitch Sew Shop in Alexandria, Virginia, and they have moved into one of the previous locations of Fiberspace, and it's amazing. They have such a great range of independent patterns. Hello, friendy. This is Alice, if you're new. She hasn't come and say hello in a while. She's not a fan of spring so much. She gets itchy. Her face is itchy right now. I'm thinking I'm going to have to find some sort of remedy for that. Other parts get itchy too, but we won't get into details. Right, Al? Hey, did you go outside? Did you see those birds? Look, that bird is still there. He's just so obsessed. You're not a fan, are you? All right, Peanut, you have to get down. Off you go. All right, so that is the geranium dress. And I have this, the Brumby skirt. That is a short iteration. I'm going to do a longer version in linen, probably. This is a Megan Nielsen pattern, and I have sewn up one of her other patterns I'll show you momentarily. And then this, I'm very excited. I splurged on this pattern. I think it's ridiculously expensive, but I really wanted to do this neck detail. It's like an envelope neck, and I'm kind of intrigued by the puff sleeves. I don't know if I'll modify those or not. It's called the Puff Shirt by the Assembly Line, and it's a Swedish pattern. I think that's why it was so expensive for like import fees. But yes, I don't regret getting this so far. I haven't tried the pattern. I might regret it. It's a fairly new one. So Stitch also had that. Not sure what I'll make it in yet, but I have made a lot of shirts, including this one. And I'm wearing my, what is this called? Morris blazer out of like a herringbone knit. Just picking up some lint from all my woolly stuff. And I love this thing. Love it. I messed up some of the stitching down here, but in general, I've been wearing it a lot, getting really good use out of it. It's a great springtime blazer. So this is the matcha top. And I tried this ages ago, and this is still not really, this is a muslin. And I'm terrible at gathers. Do you see that gather right there? It should be more concentrated towards the front of the collar. So this was my first go at it. It was like a cheap cotton polyester in my stash. And I did semi-successfully a rolled hem. I don't know if you can see that. Because I will say that this is a sew liberated pattern, and I wish it were a little longer. So I didn't want to use up, here, I didn't want to use up, there we go, a lot of the length in hemming. So I tried that, my blind hem foot, rolled hem foot. The second iteration of this, and why am I saying iteration too much today? I might be. The second version is this one I made for my daughter. She liked the look of this neckline so much that she actually wanted me to make her one. And I was like, yes, yes. So this is her matcha top. And again, it's got some issues because my gathering is not so great. But this side I did pretty well. This side could have been better. But it has these sort of epaulettes that you attach. And I'm pretty pleased with like mostly how I matched up the epaulettes to the stripes. Not perfect, but I was able to get it okay, like here, there. So this fabric I love. It's this window pane. She picked it out at Stitch. It does have some gathers in the back, which I did a better job at. I need to redo. I did some rolled hems that were not as successful on this one. I need to redo them for sure. Gonna do that today. Yeah, this is just so cute. This fabric is a rayon from Art Gallery, and it's one of the Okotex. It's got the Okotex label on it, so it's a version. I don't have all the details for you, but the Okotex is a more sustainable process of making rayon fabric. So she really wanted something drapey, and I really wanted to make her something. So it was a nice compromise to be able to have a more eco-friendly rayon. So this was another top I made, and it doesn't have the bow tied, but this is the Pussy Bow blouse from By Hand London. And this was a muslin. It was really successful. I say the fit is great. Like I made these little loops, button loops for the cuffs. This is a crinkle cotton that I got at Joann's to try this. I just love pinks and oranges together. Very old lady. I mean, the style, the fabric, but I love wearing it. It's very springy. I'm starting to work on my grandma style. I'm not a grandmother, but someday perhaps. Anyway, yeah, the Pussy Bow blouse by Hand London. It's a pattern I'd had for a while and hadn't gotten around to making it yet. Hi again, friends. I forgot that I had recorded some tutorial footage. Take that with a grain of salt, of making the rouleau loops for the cuff buttons. And I tried a really good, useful technique for doing that. So I will insert the information here. Tilly and the Buttons has more about this. You're basically leaving long thread tails, and as you sew the tube, you encase the thread tails in the tube and then use them to turn the thing right side out. So here we go.
Like enamel pins, like with
I of course have the fat squirrel going.
Like the stick back. And they're not.
I'm gonna try this trick where you make a
like
rouleau loop or some sort of loop thing you need to
surface.
turn inside out,
So
and
they're
you
not
put.
like a metal at all. They're more of a
Hang on, I'm
plastic
competing with
feel,
Amy
and
Beth here.
sections.
I'm trying her
And the
down.
nice thing about them is
Love you,
because
Amy
they have
Beth. Okay, so yes, so I'm gonna try sewing this with the thread tails sort of encased so that I can turn it inside out better. So hang on a sec. Okie doke, so I folded it over. You can see I have the thread tails hanging out. Look, it's coming out. Just by pulling on the thread tails. Sweet. Awesome. There's one.
So you may notice, this is such a fun thing. I'm so excited. You may notice that, or maybe I haven't shown you yet, but there are buttons happening in my sewing now. I was beginning to think, as I said to some friends, that my house was a buttonhole, anti-buttonhole vortex, or built on an anti-buttonhole vortex. Because I was not able to successfully make buttonholes with 2 sewing machines in my house. And it was not me, it was them. Look at this. I made an Archer button down. Look at all these buttonholes. Look. There's one that's even buttoned right there. I scavenged a lot of buttons. My husband got rid of a lot of completely worn out shirts, and I cut the buttons off of them, and I've just repurposed them on this one. This is a chambray, a Robert Kaufman chambray, and this is a Grain Line Studio pattern, the Archer button down. I love this. I made a size 10. Yeah, I made the version where there's a pleat in the back, typical pleat. Collar stand. The placket, the sleeve plackets, this was the second time I've done some, and these, I felt like this version was much easier than the version on the Fairfield button down that I made for my husband. The one thing that I had issues with was sort of lining up where things fall on the collar, but I never do the top button on my collar anyway, so I just left it off, and it looks great. I love this. Love this. I need to wear it more. It's the perfect season for it. So how many blouses is that? 1, 2, 3, 4? 4 tops? It has been fun. Do you really need to go outside, or are you just playing with me? Lately, she's been doing that. Okay. She stopped. I'll start talking and she'll start again. There we go. Oh, Alice. So I've made some jeans, and I know that the last time we spoke, I was almost finished with the Morgan jeans. I'm going to pause this because the dog's going out. Okay, back to jean talk. So I have 3 pairs of jeans completed now, and I want to talk about them. So my first ones, oh my gosh, they're getting such heavy wear. These are my Gingers. They're out of a stretch denim. They're an S jean, Gene. I'm not sure why it's called that. S jean stretch denim. 8.5 ounces, I think. There they are. I wear them a ton. They've got octopus pockets. They've got embroidery. They've now got a top buttonhole and a little Humpty Dumpty button. I didn't use jeans buttons that you kind of rivet in there. I just have used button craft thread, which is pretty heavy duty. Zip fly. Now, you can tell, like, I wasn't getting great bar tacks. Like, it's not super even. These were my first jeans. But my goodness, they're functional. I wear them all the time. I love them. They fit really well. I do have an issue right here with some of the top stitching that I should redo. You can see, like, it's really too small for top stitching. I forgot to set it at a longer stitch length there. But yeah, they get constant wear. So those are the Gingers. And then I made the Morgans. I made these out of a Robert Kaufman twill. I did a really basic pocket, whereas on the others I embroidered. I did a really kind of crappy buttonhole, but I'll talk more about buttonholes. It's a buttonhole. The Gingers, I had been closing them with a safety pin for months. So I have this lovely pocket bag here, and I was having trouble understanding how to construct a pocket bag. But with my third pair, I really figured it out. Like, I was using a tutorial from somewhere else to figure out the pocket bag and not the instructions on the jeans. So I was despairing. These were my first non-stretch jeans. And they were really tight at the beginning. But this twill, this Robert Kaufman Ventana twill, which is non-stretch, I think he has a stretch version as well, is amazing. It's really great fabric. It's affordable. It does stretch out over time. So these are great, but they're not as high-waisted as I wanted. They're a boyfriend style, and I don't really know how to describe how that's different in other ways, but I felt like it wasn't the most flattering on me. So, but I still wear them a lot, as you can see. The third pair I've made is still inside out. And I've just been getting better at certain things. Haven't made a perfect pair yet. Probably that doesn't exist unless you're really fussy about it, which I'm not. These are, there's still threads everywhere. These are the Dawn jeans by Megan Nielsen. And I'm going to put them right side out. I was just hemming them last night. So these are out of very heavy Spanish crosshatch denim. And by very heavy, let me see if I can find the tag. I think they're 11 ounce. Pretty heavy. I decided to do a button fly because buttons, I'll tell you more in a minute. I keep teasing you about the buttons. But yeah, I did a button fly. I put the top stitching thread on the wrong side, but nobody sees it. I have mismatched buttons, but nobody sees them. There's my top button. My pocket bags, I finally figured out the procedure using the pattern instructions this go around. And I used a really fun fabric to do the inner waistband. Did a great job on the waistband for this one, which is, I've not been really successful at catching the waistband when you top stitch it, so that none of the raw edges are showing. Because you're stitching from the outside when you're doing that part of the waistband, and you're just sort of trusting that you've pinned things well enough that you're going to catch the folded edge and no raw edges will come out. I have a hard time with that. The pockets on this, oh yes! Does it stand for wool or Wonder Woman? I don't know. All of that. But yeah, I really love it. My behind looks great in these jeans. Really good. They're very high-waisted. But it's like a corset for my lower half. They're so tight. They're so tight. Like, I had to wear them around the house for a day before I could button the top button, or like half a day. And then once I got the top button buttoned, couldn't button the fly. I could not button the fly. Should have done a zip. It may have been a bit easier, but I don't think it would have made it fit better. Might have been a bit easier to do up when I'm lying on the bed. That's how tight these are. And I think it's just that it's the denim. It's really heavy and it's non-stretch. And I even took out all of the side seams and the crotch. I think this is the inseam. I took it out as much as I dared to like a 1/4 inch instead of 5/8. And I'm like a sausage in there still. But it has gotten a little bit better, so I feel like now I can do up all the buttons. If I'm feeling brave, I'll put in a picture in the beginning of how it looks. So they're not the jeans of my dreams yet, but that's how I felt about the Morgans, and they've grown on me. Yeah. So lots of good parts to this, but it's a little bit like, do you remember jeans in the early 80s? Late 70s? Everyone was wearing tight jeans. That's how these are. They're not comfy. I can sit down in them, but not comfortably. I got some nice bar tacks though. Like I finally sussed that out. There's another one. My top stitching is pretty good. So I'm getting better at a lot of different things that go into making jeans, but I got cocky and said, okay, these are the third pair of jeans I've made. I'm not going to do a muslin. I know what I'm doing. The finished measurements are the same as the Morgan jeans, and those fit. But I'm feeling like I don't really understand this kind of denim. It's understanding the fabric that's gotten me here. So I've even held up these jeans to the Morgan jeans, and these are actually slightly bigger size-wise. Like if you put them side by side. Some sort of dark magic that they don't fit. I don't know. In the meantime, I will wear them around the house as much as I can tolerate, and hopefully they'll stretch. So I have 3 pairs of jeans, and I do have more denim. Yes, indeed. I'll show you the denim. I feel like I want to get some of that twill and like an olive and make some more. I don't know which pair of jeans I'll make. Maybe I can do maybe I can figure out how to do higher rise Morgan jean. Maybe. I would also love some white ones. But I do have this black stretch for more ginger jeans. I'll probably wait and do those in the fall. And then I have a Japanese non-stretch crosshatch denim, vintage indigo. This is from Blackbird. She had a pre-order. Look at the selvage on that. Isn't that gorgeous? 11 ounce. So again, really heavy. No give in them. I don't know. I'm going to have a lot of denim leftovers as well, and I'm going to do some sort of like refashioning, sewing something where all together, maybe a denim skirt with lots of different denims would be fun. And then I have this. This is dead stock. Yes, this is another Japanese denim. And it's a popcorn dark indigo. So dead stock is like, if you're not familiar with that term, it is like fashion houses or manufacturers that have made like a collection, and they've made all that they're going to make, and they have leftover fabric. So it's fabric that's out there and that it can't really be sold as like reorderable fabric. So I'm really excited about this. I love it's kind of like a slub in the warp, it looks like, the warp yarn. That's a really dark one. So I've got 3 other denims, and only one of them is stretch. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. Yep, so that's the denim story. She also sent this interesting details about caring for denim. I washed my Japanese denim before I cut the fabric pieces. I floofed it. So I don't know. If you have experience dealing with this kind of heavy denim, let me know. Let me know what you think. I'm curious about others' experiences. So other fabric that I picked up at Finch in Leesburg, Virginia, which is just a delightful store, is this, again, Japanese lawn. I'm going to make probably a button down out of this. It's got a nice, soft body to it. And then this was a remnant. This is a double gauze, but it really is, it doesn't strike me as your typical double gauze. It's got, it doesn't have like that visible second layer. Yeah, so very interesting. I might make a matcha top out of this. And then this is a yarn dyed cotton. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but a top for sure. So it's been really fun making summer tops, spring summer tops, and that's what's gotten my interest going again in sewing, really, denim and tops. I have had a ton of work, and just work, and it got to a point recently where there was so much of it that I needed to procrastinate. Don't know why, but I tackled my mending pile. And I've gotten pretty far. I've mended 2 or 3 pairs of socks. I put a new neckline on my husband's sweater. I know somebody said they wanted to see that when it was done. I did an I-cord bind off. And I used some hand spun from a sweater spin. This was a Coopworth sweater spin. So I decided put a little Coopworth I-cord on the top of that. And, I mended my great-grandmother's apron. And this has machine and hand stitching in it, which was just delightful to have my hands on it too. So I love this apron. I've always loved this apron. And some of the thread was disintegrating. So I just reinforced things. And this is the neckband. This is the next thing that's going to have to be completely replaced. It's just kind of shredded when you open it up. This apron is, I coveted this apron for years, and my mother finally gave it to me. So yeah, look at that. Needs a new neck strap, but I think I'm gonna wear that until the neck strap gives out. So my great grandmother's apron, she made it by hand and by machine, and I love it. I also put a buttonhole on these Persephone pants. There it is, my buttonhole. I still need a button, but these are black Persephones. So let's talk about the buttonhole thing, and then I think we're done. My buttonhole woes. They really got me down because they really limited what I can make. So when I was listening to the Love to Sew podcast, and Helen from Helen's Closet Patterns, who's a designer, I've made her Blackwood cardigan, and I wear that a ton. Sorry. It's hard trying to fix your hair from the reverse side because everything is reversed on screen. So anyway, she talked about her buttonholer. And I was thinking, oh, this has to be something that you put on an industrial sewing machine. I don't know. But no. She posted to her stories, and she's Helen's Closet on Instagram. And she's saved it in her stories. Everything about this. She does not have an industrial sewing machine. She has like a 1960s Kenmore sewing machine. And this works on it. And she said it'll likely work with any low shank, which I think most home sewing machines are, a low shank sewing machine. And she goes over how to use it in detail in her stories. And I found one on Etsy for about $20. And here it is. If you're curious, go to her stories. I could tell you about it, but she'll do it much better. And you open this up basically, and you have 4 different buttonhole templates. There's the template. It's just mechanical. It's an amazing mechanical invention that you can put like a walking foot. You would just attach it like a walking foot, and it makes your buttonholes. So I've just been going nuts and making buttonholes. So everything's in here. Don't use this foot plate thing. I'm not sure what you use that for, but here's the little screw to put it on your shank. Instructions. It's so space agey, isn't it? It's like something from the Jetsons. I think this might be Bakelite. So yeah, all the little other templates sit in these little slots. Got my Singer buttonholer. And this like 40, 50-year-old thing works better than my brand new sewing machines with their buttonholers. Yep. No brainer. Very happy to have found that. Yeah, so that's everything for now. I hope I see you at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And until next time, take care.